Plaintiff Christina Blakey says she's 33 years old, and although she's never met the defendant before today, she believes he is her biological father. Christina petitioned the court for a paternity test because if the defendant is her father, she wants a relationship with him, and she's suing him today for emotional distress. Defendant Ovid Hughes says he was deeply in love with Christina's mother when he left for the military. Ovid claims when he returned from the service, Christina's mother was living with another man, and that's when he discovered she was pregnant. Ovid insists he would have taken care of Christina had he known he was her father.
Tell me all about it.
Basically, Your Honor, I am 33 years old, and I have never met my father, and I do believe that this young man here is my father.
Okay, what made you believe that?
Well, actually, I have been told that my mother, they were together, and...
And where did she say he was for the 33 years?
He got shipped off to China. He got orders to go to China, and I wasn't even born.
When you were what age did she say?
I wasn't even born yet.
Okay.
So my mother hadn't even had a chance to tell him that she was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom said she had made attempts to write letters, and I think basically she says that she thinks that his mother, she knows that his mother didn't really care too much for her. So she thinks that the letters were kind of intercepted, and so she never got a chance to tell him. Basically, she
So how long after going to China did she hear from him?
Oh, she was still pregnant, actually, when he came back from China.
Okay,
like almost
so what
due.
happened then?
She had moved on, met another young man. She had moved, and like I said,
she moved while she was writing these letters?
No, I'm sorry. Basically, she had gone to, they had plans to go
Before we make him the bad guy, I gotta see how good mama was.
Okay. Basically.
Because what I'm hearing so far is that he went off to war, and when he came home, she had run off with another man.
Okay.
Is that what happened?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, clarify that.
He came back basically wondering what's going on, what happened, because he hadn't heard anything from her.
Okay.
And at the time.
So when he saw her, what did they determine to do? Did he move in?
No, he did not, because she was with another
She had already,
man.
so that's exactly what she did. He went off to war. When he came back, she had gotten with another man. All right.
Okay, but
Go ahead.
I guess I don't want my mom to sound like a bad person,
No,
though.
we're gonna state the facts.
Okay. So.
You want to comment on this?
First thing, Your Honor, I'd like to say that I loved Christina's mother very, very much. While in the military on my second tour of duty to the Southeast Asia, she and I became very close, so much to the point that I even tried to physically hurt myself to change my orders from going overseas. I was just that much in love with her. I don't want to paint a picture of her in a negative way, but she cheated on me prior to me going overseas.
Okay.
I tried to straighten things out with her before going overseas. I thought I left my vehicle with her. When I went overseas, I sent her money orders. I wrote her often. I never received any type of word back from her. Upon returning back to the States, I looked her up to try and find out what happened, why she hadn't written me, and we had no contact. This is when I discovered that the same person that I knew that she was cheating with, she was living with. Upon coming to the address, that's when I noticed for the first time that she was pregnant.
All right, and your alleged daughter pretty much agrees, so we have that established. So what else you want me to know?
Basically, that is the reason that I did petition the court to have a paternity test done, because I do want to know for sure if this gentleman is
Because
my
you've
father.
never met him in your life.
Never met him before.
How did you determine that he is the person you felt you wanted to pursue? Is it because your mother told you? And how long ago did she tell you that?
She told me when I was young.
And what was she doing in effort to pursue him?
She hadn't really tried to.
How old were you when you started pursuing him?
I started really having questions when I was like 9 or 10, wanting to know where's he at.
And she didn't try to pursue him?
No.
She didn't try to help you? What would she say?
I don't think that she really knew how sincere I was about wanting to find him. You know,
Okay.
she had like another man in her life, and you know, he accepted me as his child.
Okay. He
So-
raised you as his daughter? All right.
Defendant Ovid Hughes says he's never met the plaintiff before today, but she believes Ovid is her biological father, so she petitioned the court for a paternity test.
You're suing for emotional distress for $1,800. How does that
Yes.
come into play?
Well, because I met him over the phone for the first time last year.
What did you say? Hey, Dad.
No.
Just thought I'd say
Actually-
hi. No, I don't mean to trivialize it, but go ahead. What happened?
Actually, it was his wife that answered the phone.
Uh-huh.
And so it was a big surprise to her. And pretty much
told
I said,
her?
Well, she asked who was calling. You know, she
You
wants
said
to
his
know.
daughter?
Well, no. I
What'd
said,
you
well, I
say?
told her my name, and I said,
Yeah, because she would want to know why another woman
It's
called her.
exactly.
32-year-old, by the way. Go ahead.
So I introduced myself, and I told her that I believed that he was my father, and basically I wanted to establish a relationship. First off, find out for sure that he is my father, and I believe he was sleeping at the time.
And
So-
she woke him
Oh
up.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. So she woke him up. He came to the phone,
came to
and
the
what was the
phone.
nature of the discussion?
And I told him the same thing, and I told him my mother, who my mother was.
What was his
and
response?
He's like, wow. You know, I mean, quiet for a little bit, and then, I mean, it was
Did he
just,
immediately deny?
No, not at all.
He
not
said-
at all.
well,
He
what did he
didn't
say?
even know
Did he
that
acknowledge?
I existed. He didn't even know that I existed.
Okay.
So,
But
pretty
he
much
wasn't rude or anything?
Not at all.
All right,
Not at
so
all.
what happened during that year you all were talking prior to the lawsuit?
Well, I mean, we kind of began to establish a relationship, and you know, I have 3 children. My children were beginning to talk to him,
And he was treating you and your children as if he was the father?
Yes.
And then what happened?
the phone call stopped.
Sir?
Well, first of all, Your Honor, I'd like to say that if I had known prior to leaving or when I returned from overseas that Christina had any indication that she might be my daughter, things would have been quite different. I have 3 children. I've been married now for over 30 years. And if I had known that she was my daughter, things would have been totally different.
Sounds like it, because she called you at age 32.
Yes, sir.
And you responded in a way that welcomed her and her children
Yes, sir, and
in
I did.
as your own.
Yes, sir.
Most men would not do that.
Yes, sir.
But you instead engaged her as your daughter for years. That's why I want to know what
Yes,
happened.
sir.
That's
Well,
why I'm just
what
curious
happened,
as to what
we
happened.
did begin to talk. Matter of fact, we talked on the phone 6 hours at a time.
Right. So what happened?
I talked with her mother 6 hours at a time. Her mother would get upset with her about the time that I spent talking
Why did you
on the
stop
phone with
returning her calls?
I really didn't want to cause any more confusion between her and her mother.
Do you live with your mother? Did you then?
No.
Well, sir, I'm not buying it. I'm sure if you called and said, look, baby, I'm having a problem. This is becoming a problem with me talking to you and your mother's reaction. So if you don't mind, I'd like to just talk with you without your mother knowing. Did you ever say that?
No, sir, I did not.
You just stopped talking?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right.
But I'm suing for emotional distress because to have looked for him all these years, and finally find him, establishing a relationship, and then nothing, that was hard. It was very hard, but I say $1,800 because I say $100 for 18 years if I were to have received support.
You would have got a
And-
lot more than $100
I know,
a year.
I know it, but I'm not here to do that to him. Or, you know, I'm not here being greedy. I'm not trying to get money. I basically
It's
want a
kinda symbolic.
relationship. And because I want to use, if I am awarded judgment, I would like to use that money to fly him to Ohio
To
to
see
meet his
you.
grandchildren.
Now, I was ready to tell you there's no basis in the law for you to receive emotional distress because the courts would be overflowing with people. In fact, nearly half of all children do not live in a household with a father. Children can say, my daddy don't live in the house, so I'm going to court. Because I'm having emotional distress. I need him right there. Mm-hmm. I know he divorced my mom and they couldn't get along, but I just need him here. Mm-hmm. So the courts will be overflowing. But I like that idea of granting you a judgment so that you can fly him there to be with you. But you took a paternity test, so before we get on that plane, we gotta see this paternity test.
Defendant Ovid Hughes says he's never met the plaintiff before today, but she believes Ovid is her biological father, so she petitioned the court for a paternity test.
Anything else from you?
Well, Your Honor,
please go and get the paternity
test. I'd just like to say she sent through correspondence these pictures to me. And after looking at these pictures, I looked at them. She looked so much like me. I see the resemblance there.
Doesn't even require DNA?
Not really.
Good.
I really don't think so.
Good.
And I only wish her mother had told me, and the situation would have been totally different. I never would have left. I mean, I missed so much from my life. I have so many mixed emotions. I feel angry that her mother didn't tell me. I feel sad that I missed her first teeth, her teething, her prom. I missed everything in her life.
That's great.
And I can't take that start over, but I would like to have a relationship now, if we can begin from now, to have whatever we can have to salvage from this.
Excellent. I am so glad to hear you speak like that. Well, there are a lot of stereotypes about men in general that suggest that a lot of men, once they divorce their wives or separate from their wives or leave their women, that they become deadbeat dads. So I'm so glad to hear you say that you don't need to see a test. And take that paternity test and tear it up, since we don't need to know. Is that all right? Is that all right with you?
It's fine with me.
Is that all right with you? Mm-hmm. I was just testing. Go help me put this back together. Get some tape. Get some tape. All right, I got the most important part. The probability of paternity is 99.9997. I am so glad to hear that. I am so glad to hear that. Unfortunately, ma'am, I can't create new law, so I'm going to pay for his trip to come and see you. How about that? How about that? Thank you. And you all can reconcile that relationship beginning right now. Let's see it. Let's see it. Give that big hand.
Yes. You are gorgeous.